That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
That's what don't sound right about this, is that technology should be making things simpler. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking each other. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
And Peter, I think our conversation about the country mile has got, you've actually looked up the map now.
I did.
You're starting to teeter.
I'm telling you. Well, look, maybe I'm just going to get my foot wet and just see what's going on. Get the lay of the land. Cook you breakfast or something.
We need a cook.
I'll bring some jambu.
Yeah. I think jambu would actually work in the early morning hours. You would need some jambu.
If y'all don't remember, we tried jambu, which is this plant extract inside of some Brazilian cachaça. It's quite tasty, but then it kind of makes your mouth a little numb.
Yeah. You want your entire self to be numb by about 3 a.m. So,
and since you're a pharmacist, you probably can prescribe something for that, can't you? So you can't prescribe things, can you?
I cannot prescribe things.
Interesting. You can't.
There are clinical pharmacy practitioners that can prescribe, but that's a extra little thing you have to do to get that permission. Usually you have to do it under the supervision of a physician.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting thing, we met another pharmacist the last week. Yeah. And she also said she would not be a pharmacist.
Now, in all fairness,
we should bring her on the. We should. Yeah. I bring her on the podcast, and because that don't sound right. Then now we have two pharmacists that don't be pharmacists.
Now, I love pharmacy and I love the profession, but the pharmacy's just progressed over time to where there's so much involved with the billing, which we've recently talked about. But you hear that with a lot of professions, like I hear teachers say there's so much paperwork now and so much this, and probably even with engineering too. I'm sure there's so much extraneous stuff, which leads us to our topic.
Yes, it does. We were talking with some friends who are hosting a refugee family.
Yes.
And they were talking about all the different things that they have to do to kind of get in the swing of things here in American culture.
Yes.
And out of the blue, you say, well, I'm keeping a list of everything you got to know in order to live here.
And
and as soon as you said that, I said, oh, that's an episode. I'm writing that down as an idea. And so here we are.
Yeah. And this was separate from the refugee family. I just started this list. I had probably, 30 things on here by now. So my thought was I would just start writing down everything that you have to know as an adult.
Well, okay, so this is basically your adulting list.
You're my adulting list. And it's a lot. It's really overwhelming.
Well, I'm seeing you write it down. I think
this is why people are so stressed, is because of this.
But they don't know it.
They don't know it
They don't know it yet. They don't know it.
They're getting ready to hear it.
Yeah. So if you're our college students, you might want to turn off now.
Right. If you're a college student,
But I'm told by several sources that you are our demographic anyway, and you're probably not listening.
We have a handful.
We got some.
I went to a wedding last week, and I missed the opportunity. I decided that night, as I met new people that I did not know, I was just going to introduce. When they said, "What do you do?" I was going to say, "I'm a podcaster." And
then my question to you is, what do you say when they say, "Do people really listen to that?"
Yeah, right. It's like the whole. What was the thing? The show we watched, where the podcast they kept saying, "Is that really a thing?"
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was about a podcaster doing a real.
What was the name of that?
A real
podcast?
Crime, real life.
I can't think of it now.
What's not real life? Not real crime.
True crime.
True crime.
Okay, so these things I've written down are things that you have to know if you are married with a house and a job.
Can we reduce
and kids?
Can we just reduce it down to just someone right out of college?
Oh, it'd be a much shorter list, I think.
It would be, but I think the list is still pretty significant.
It's more significant than it was when you and I graduated.
Exactly. And that's what don't sound right about this, is that technology should be making things simpler.
It should be.
But as we will find out from your list, it is added to our list of things we need to know in order to be a functional adult.
These are things that I've had to do recently.
This is getting me grumpy as we talk about this. Because this was not how it's supposed to be.
You wouldn't think it would be. But you have to, so here's the list. Here's the first thing I wrote down. You have to know how to rate and purchase auto insurance.
That's not insignificant either. I remember you told me this as that was your first thing. But what do you mean by rate?
So you have to be able to determine what insurance you're going to get, how much you're going to get, and navigate that system, which is not easy. They don't make it easy for you. Even though we have apps now that you can do it, like you can buy it with an app.
Yeah.
It's still very tricky because it's going to lead you to purchase more insurance than you need.
Well, I mean, what's so complicated about, do you want 20, 50, 25? Or do you want 100, 300, 100? And then my latest insurance agent wanted to sell me, I think it was 200, 500, 200.
You have to know all that.
What do those numbers mean, Cecil?
Exactly. You also have to know.
You're making me grumpy.
You have to know how to drive.
Okay.
In North Carolina, you have to know how to drive. Now, if you live in a big city, I'll give you a pass on that.
We can go back a little ways. We go back a little ways, let's say 50 years ago. Okay, you needed to know how to drive when you're, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You need to know how to drive. But the whole insurance thing, I feel like, was not as complicated.
Well, you probably dealt with somebody in town.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a house, you've got to know how to get a mortgage. You have to have a bank account. You have to know how to get house insurance. Home insurance.
How much do you want to insure your house?
How much do you want to insure your house for?
How about the contents? How much do you want to insure your contents for?
Yes. You have to know what your contents are, whether they're insurable. You have to maintain the house. So that means you have to know something about yard, or at least know somebody how to maintain your yard if you want to have your neighbors happy. Electrical, right? And I'm not saying you have to know how to do electrical work.
But you got to know somebody.
But you have to, if something goes wrong with the electrical systems in your house,
any system,
you have to know what to do. The HVAC,
furnace, yes.
The plumbing, roofing. If your roof goes out, you now have to select a roofer.
And which shingle you want. What color?
What kind of shingles?
Are you going to get
You have to learn about shingles.
That never used to be an issue.
No, there was one shingle, and you put it on your house.
Are we starting to...
you have to know about retirement, 401k, Roth, right?
Right.
You have to know about an HSA if you have life insurance, if you have health insurance.
When you first start out, retirement's pretty easy. You just put money away.
Yeah.
But where it gets complicated is as you get closer to retirement, what do you do with that money? Where do you move it to?
Yep.
What's the best way to...
Right. You have to know that.
You do have to know that.
You have to know that. So all this stuff for retirement, you have to know how to cook.
All right. That hasn't changed over...
That hasn't changed over time.
I think retirement is relatively new, though.
Yes, retirement.
It's gotten very complicated.
It's gotten complicated. You have to know, you have to watch it and make sure you're investing it right. You have to know at least a little bit about investing.
So here's the thing, though. We need to ask yourself, Cecil.
Okay.
Do you really need to know all of those things? Or is it enough to know somebody that you can trust them?
It's enough to know somebody. But my point is you have to deal with these things.
I don't think it's
one way or the other.
I don't know if it's enough, but see, this is where I would argue with you. I don't think it's enough just to know somebody.
What's up?
You have. Let me rephrase that. You need to know somebody that you absolutely trusted.
Agreed.
Because there are enough people out there that want to help them make a lot of money.
Yes.
And unless you know what's a good deal, or what's a proper repair, or what's an appropriate cost of something, you're going to get taken.
Exactly.
You're going to get taken.
Exactly. This is my point.
Yeah.
You have to at least know the basics of these things. If auto repair, something goes wrong in your car.
We had an episode about
We've had episodes about this, about how to teach your kids not to get taken.
Don't pay for blinker fluid.
My daughters continuously when they go to these places, they will try to pass something off on them.
Right.
And fortunately, they'll ask questions now.
Good for them.
Ella caught one the other day.
Oh, what was it?
Trying to, I forget what it was. They were trying to do something. And she said, no, I'll take care of that myself.
Yeah.
Okay. A will?
Yeah.
Right. So in retirement planning, succession planning, estate planning.
I talked to so many friends whose parents at their age don't have wills.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's important. Power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, all that's a big deal.
But, I guess back in the day, maybe that wasn't as big of a deal. I think a will still was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to,
But before, though, if you were the son or the daughter of someone who was sick, you talk to the doctor, and the doctor would listen to you and do what you want.
Right. And now you have to go through a portal.
Not only have to go through, and you have to get notarized documentation that you can even talk to the doctor.
Yes. Yeah. So there's all the power of attorney.
Yeah.
Private stuff. You have to know how to operate the portal, which leads to the fact you have to know how to use a computer.
Right.
Or have a computer.
Do you think we could operate, you could operate your life without a computer now?
No. Not well.
Not even with just your phone?
Oh, maybe with just the phone. But the desktop definitely helps.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it with just the phone.
Yeah,
I really don't think I could do it with just the phone. I think I still need a computer.
So much is done through email. And you and I are in the age now where we were applying for scholarships for kids, college admissions. Like all of college admissions is unified now through the North Carolina College Foundation.
I mean, there's still a group of colleges that have their own applications you got to file.
All that's on the computer.
And that's all computerized. Yeah. That's right.
Burying people. You have to know how to bury people.
Now, let's be a little more specific about this, Cecil.
You don't have to know how to dig the hole. But you have to know when someone in your family dies, you have to know what to do next, what the next step is. Now, again, you don't have to know what every single step is, but you've got to know where to start.
Well, that happened to me when my dad passed away. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what to do. So I started with a funeral home.
Right.
And they know people don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And they were so helpful. I was so thankful for the funeral home.
But you're also very vulnerable at that point. Because you're grieving, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to navigate it, and all of a sudden they're like, well, here's the basic coffin, but I wouldn't want to put my father in that coffin, but here's the $30,000 hand-carved by artisanal monk coffin that you would really want your father to go out in. Yeah, I mean, it's very... there's a lot of questions that are thrown at you very quick, because then you're like, well, we need to pick out the vault.
Right.
And that's the concrete burial container. And again, there's a low-end vault, there's a mid-range vault, and there's a high-end vault. And they've got you, though, because they know.
That's right.
Yeah, so you have to know how to bury people. Hospitalizations, how to navigate the medical complex.
I mean, at a minimum, you need to know how to advocate for yourself or somebody else.
Yes.
That could be a whole episode.
That could be a whole episode. You have to know how to manage money.
Okay, well, that really hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. Taxes, you have to know how to... But again, these are things you have to know to function, though. You have to know how to keep your records, file taxes, how to use a smartphone for the most part. Well,
how do you get service?
Right.
I mean, that's not... you got to know how to get service, how to get a hookup. You're talking about houses. You got to know how to get your utilities turned on. The houses just don't come plugged in.
Right.
You got to call the electric company. You got to put a deposit down. You got a credit check, natural gas, cable, internet.
And with the internet, most of the times they make you set up your own router. So now you have to know how to set a router up.
Oh, yeah, that's real helpful.
Yeah. And then the router doesn't cover your whole house. So now you have to know how to get a Wi-Fi extender.
An extender, that's right.
And pair it.
Grand.
That's a lot of stuff to know.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have to know how to use a kiosk.
What's up? What are you talking about? What's a kiosk?
Like the McDonald's over in Greensboro now, they don't have people taking your order. You've got to know how to use the kiosk to place an order. I couldn't function at Starbucks the other day. I'm a grown adult, Peter.
Yeah.
And I did an online order at Starbucks, and I drove around, and the screen just has this bouncing barcode on it. I thought it was out of order. So I drove around to the thing, and she said, why didn't you scan in at the kiosk?
Because it did.
That's because I didn't see. It didn't look like it was
Oh.
And she said, we have to just scan in. And I've been through a drive-through before.
Yeah. No, we were in Richmond with our daughter, and we were went to a restaurant, and a human doesn't take your order.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the kiosk.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to the point, I'm at the age now where I get locked up going through just a regular old drive-through.
Yeah.
I feel so. That's right. That's right. I feel so bad for my kids. They are horrified, and from now on, I just roll up and roll the back window down, and whoever's in the back seat is talking to the people.
Places the order.
But yeah, I remember we were in Richmond I had to do this kiosk thing, and I thought I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make it. But it turned out to be okay. But you do have to.
You have to know how to do it.
You have to figure it out.
Other day in Raleigh, I was at a restaurant. They didn't have menus. You scanned a barcode.
That was big with COVID.
It started a tab, and then it closed your tab out when you had a geofence.
Oh.
And so when you left the premises, if you didn't, it would just close your tab out.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's unnerving.
Yes. You didn't have to interact with anybody. They just brought you your food.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But you have to know how to do that.
Yeah. And so part of our conversation then also just revolved around, are we better off now?
No.
Is things more complicated, or are they simpler? Are they easier, or are they more difficult?
I think as far as...
Or are they just different?
I think as far as like food storage, sanitation, roads, I think there's some things that are better. Like I would not want to be living with the sanitation in the 1900s.
Right.
Or food storage in the 1900s. So those ways, yes, we're better. But I don't need my refrigerator to give me the morning news.
Right.
And we've talked a little bit about that. They've advanced appliances. We're over-applianced.
We're over-teched under appliance.
We're over-teched. You have to know email, how to navigate the DMV.
Yeah, online.
How to maybe book a flight.
Sure.
If you're going to fly. Auto repair, we've already talked about that. That's where I've got my list so far. I'm continuing my list. You got to know a lot of stuff.
Is this list helping you? Is this giving you?
No, it's not helping.
Is it saying, Cecil, you know a lot?
It's not. It's not helping me. It just makes me realize that I think like everybody can't figure out why people are stressed. It's because we have to know so much just to operate.
Mm-hmm. And so many of these things, and I think about like our parents' generation, so many things of these are now digital.
Yeah.
And if you're the slightest hesitant with digital stuff, life becomes very, very difficult.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Right. If you're still trying to do any of this in a paper way at all, this becomes very difficult.
But some companies won't even deal with it anymore.
Right.
They won't even do a paper for you.
I can't imagine trying to, like you filled out a paper application for your college.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
as did I.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like trying to apply to college with a paper application at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Or scholarship.
I don't know if they do that.
Yeah. They probably wouldn't take it.
They probably would.
Yeah. Okay, that's the end of my list. I've depressed you enough, but my list is going on there.
You depressed me as much as you made me think about how would someone really unplug? If someone wanted to unplug and get off the grid, how would you really be able to do it? How could you pull that off? I don't think you could.
Maybe if you lived in a small town.
You still got to deal with the DMV. You still have to deal with state level stuff and federal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. People talk about the government knowing too much about you. We're long past that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The government's the least of your worries.
Yeah.
It's all these other companies that are unregulated that know stuff about you.
Yeah. If you've got a credit card or done anything, they already know about it. We're well past that.
And we have a podcast.
Oh, yeah. And that we talk about ourselves about. Somebody can take our podcast and just pull all kinds of
AI will be able to replicate us. We've already said that.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know that simpler is better. Because I will say I like renewing my registration online for my car.
Sure.
I don't have to go down to the DMV anymore. I can go online, renew my registration.
And
that's great.
Have you ever had a problem with that system?
One time.
Yeah.
One time. Otherwise, it has worked perfectly.
I don't think I've ever had a problem. That's been flawless.
Yeah. Whoever came up with that was great.
That was, yeah.
I think GPS is great.
True.
Like, I wouldn't want to go back to maps. I like maps.
Yeah.
I collect maps. I would not want to navigate by maps.
You collect maps?
I do.
Well, this sounds like another episode. I didn't know this about you. You collect maps?
I collect
maps.
But
what kind of maps?
Just travel maps.
All right, we're going to have that episode. We're going to break out all your maps. Would you like some? I've got some extras.
I've got hundreds of them that I don't know what to do with. I don't want to go back to maps. I like GPS.
Yeah, all right.
So I think that's simpler. That's
made things more efficient.
Yeah. But I don't think a computer necessarily makes things better. Like, I think we've tried to computerize everything. In some cases, we've overcomplicated.
It might have made things better for the people who are receiving the information.
Oh, yeah.
But for us who have to put in the information,
right,
they still haven't figured out on the medical side why I have to. I check it online, put everything in online, and then when I show up, I still get a piece of paper I got to fill out.
Right. That's craziness, man. I do think. Do you shop online, like for groceries?
We do online orders.
I do like that.
We do like that. Yeah. We go pick up. We don't have it delivered here. So that helps. Although still, that one is not foolproof.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I just want a little broccoli.
Right. So this isn't. I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
I'm not an advocate for being a Luddite, but it is interesting.
But it's an amazing list.
It is
of the things you got to know.
This is ongoing of what you have to know how to do.
Adulting 101.
Adulting 101.
Actually, it's Adulting 1001.
Now, again, this is in our socioeconomic bracket.
Sure.
With kids, house. Yeah. So there's certain caveats to this.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's not, I don't think that list is altered too much.
If you were just graduating, we were talking about this earlier. When we first graduated from college, you and I had, so we had to pay our rent, and we had a credit card, and we drove.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a computer.
No. Well, I'm thinking about my son, he's graduating college, right? So he's had to figure out a townhouse.
Uh-huh.
He had to figure out, okay, now do I do renter's insurance? He's going to figure out all the utilities for it.
Yep.
And he's got a job, so he's got to figure out all the health care and all the insurance and retirement stuff. So I think your list is still pretty good. And he still goes to McDonald's. So he's going to have to run that darn kiosk.
It's got to run the kiosk. And I've got to get back to Starbucks. I did not realize I had never... ordered at Starbucks online and then gone through the drive-thru before to pick up. Because normally we just run in and pick it up.
Yeah, I usually go through the drive-thru and there's somebody there. And, there's a screen that says, hey, I'm here for my pickup.
Right. This was just a screen with a barcode. Same thing happened at Chick-fil-A, one of the new Chick-fil-A's. Is I pulled around and I didn't see that it had a big screen. Right. And I missed the barcode. And so I had to loop the thing. And I came back. I was like, okay, well, there it is. And then you scan it and they know you're there.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so much easier for everyone else.
But I was wondering, as we age, are we going to be able to keep up with some of this stuff?
It's going to be tough. I mean, it already is tough. That's why the backseat orderers in my car talk to the person at the drive-thru.
All right. It doesn't sound right. But if you're listening to a podcast, you're doing another thing that's difficult.
Someone said, I forgot who said this. Maybe it was my daughter, that there's talk about they're going to put some tariffs on podcasting equipment.
Oh,
so
good thing we
jokers like you and I can't just pick up a microphone and start a podcast. But we've been here a long time, and we want to thank everyone for listening. And if this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a long-time listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
All right, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcasts in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and your web designer. Camille's your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Ella does your Instagram. Giorgio tests your merchandise. Brent is the international brand ambassador. And as always, Scott is listener
number one.
Oh, man. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.